Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. So this is a new section starting, and it's kind of bringing us to another part. It's the same topic, obviously, but you will see when we do the verse that what it's talking about. It's kind of a mystical language, subtle world. So we have a lot of put our thinking hats on. Don't go just by the word meaning, but see what we have to say. Or Krishna Bhagwan, I mean not Krishna Bhagwan over here, but what Yamraji is telling Nachiketa. So here is the verse 1 of Shashti Valli, 6th section, but sometimes it's called second, no, what is it called? Yeah, Minaji.
Yeah, it's a section 3.
Section 3 of chapter 2.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
And you can give the page number.
Page number is 264. 264.
Okay. So here is a verse, and this cannot, I don't know how to chant this. Only Tejomaya Anandji can do these kind of things. So I'm going to just read it. Urdhva Mula Avak Shakha Esha Ashwatha Sanatana Tad Eva Shukram Tad Brahma Tad Eva Amrutam Uchyate Tasmin Loka Shrita Sarve Tat U Atyeti Kaschana Aitat Vaitat. I mean, Sandhi Vichhed karke kiya. It's easier to say. So, Urdhva Mula. And whoever studies Bhagavad Gita, and Geeta ji is over here, she knows that 15th chapter, it starts with this, Urdhva Mula is upside down tree with the root upwards. Urdhva Mula. Upwards, and Mula is root. Avak Shakha. And with the branches down, as though upside down tree. Esha, this. Ashwatha. This we are going to go in detail what it means. Usko na Ashwatha tree bola hai. It's describing this sansar basically. Just remember that. It's describing the sansar as upside down tree. Roots upwards, shakhas down. And it's called Ashwatha. And Ashwatha, Sanskrit mein na fig tree or people tree. One of the two. But these fig tree and people tree, they are huge. They have a very long life. They are very dense, very strongly rooted and all. That's why they picked up this word Ashwatha. Sanatana. So I was going to say that Sanatana is used for Brahman also. So that Sanatan meaning is slightly different. That Sanatan means immortal, all that meaning. And यहाँ पर slightly different meaning है. Ancient or forever. And we will see why. So the same word in Vedanta can have two different slightly meaning depending on the context. And I have said that many times. So here the Sanatan word is used for the tree, and we will see why it is slightly different. Tat eva, that is verily. Shukram is pure. Tata is that. Brahman. Tat, again that. Eva is also. Amrutam, we all know what Amrutam means. Immortality. Uchyate is called Tasmin. In that, Lokaha, the worlds. And here, when they say Lokaha in Vedanta, it has a very broad meaning. It could be my own sansar also. Sabka apna ek sansar hota hai. Unique. Usko bhi refer kar sakte hain Loka. Shrita, rest. Sarve, all. Tat is that. U is verily. Atyeti, transcend. Means to go beyond it. Na kaschana, none. Etat is this. Ve is verily. Tat is that. So this is you can see it's a very long one, and there are a lot of things in there, and we will go in detail what it is. So, Tejomaya Anandji is kind of interesting the way he kind of approaches it. So he's saying that firstly we need to know that this is the last section of this Kathoupanishad. So we are almost coming to an end now, last section. And then how does this last section begin? Then he's saying that now Yamraji say, okay, I'm going to talk about a tree now. So then Tejomaya Anandji joked, he's saying, सडनली ट्री कहाँ से आ गया? अभी तक तो आत्मा की बात कर रहे थे. और ये ट्री भी कैसा है? ऊर्ध्व मूल अवाक शाखा, अपसाइड डाउन दिस ट्री. और ये कौन सा ट्री है? ये अश्वत्था ट्री है, ये पीपल का पेड़ है. सो व्हेन वी डू चैप्टर 15, उसमें थोड़ा और डिटेल में दिया है. जैसे यहाँ पर एक वर्स है ना, वहाँ पर 3 वर्सेस में ये ट्री का डिस्क्रिप्शन है. सो देयर इज अ मोर डिटेल्ड डिस्क्रिप्शन ओवर देयर. सो व्हाट I'll try to bring the modern context with this tree. So it's like, suppose if somebody is talking about the finances of the whole country, billions, dollars, पता नहीं trillion and all, मेरा तो दिमाग ही घूम जाता है because I'm not a number person. So then to bring that whole picture of these big numbers, we in modern world we use graphs, don't we? पाई का ग्राफ होता है, एंड देन and percentage दिखाता है, and then bars are there, even in our electric bill they have those things, those bars and all, because that brings whole year का picture एकदम सामने आ जाता है, right? So it is like a graph of a big concept. That's what a graph is supposed to be. Now imagine a pictorial graph of the whole universe, because universe is so big that to comprehend what it is, it's not that easy, right? Because our vision is so limited. So now Krishna Bhagavan is trying to bring the entire universe into, I'm talking about chapter 15 now because, I'm mixing it a little bit, but it is the same concept. That's why I'm saying. So he's trying to bring that whole concept of sansar in Arjun's mind. So he does a pictorial graph of a tree. That's what is, how clever, So think of it that way. So now coming back to Ashwatha tree. So it's a special kind of tree. So what is the speciality? Urdhva Moola. इसका source जो है ना, वो ऊपर है. So when you say ऊपर, Tejomenaji was cautioning us, and even Swamiji is going to say, don't start actually imagining a upside down tree, because there is a deeper meaning. When you say above, means higher, like it is like beyond, that way higher, higher and beyond. Or avak shakha means that उसके सारे branches नीचे की ओर हैं, because उसका source, जैसे कि tree का source जो है ना, वो उसकी जड़ होती है. जड़, और फिर जड़ takes all the nutrition from the ground, right? That's how the tree is. So here उसकी जो जड़ है वो above है, because the nourishment for the whole sansar comes from that Brahman, which is a higher beyond. So that beyond word you have to remember. And then avak shakha downwards, because उस above के बाद सारी चीजें जो है संसार में वो नीचे की तरफ हैं. And then when we do the chapter 7, then it will talk about the higher prakriti and lower prakriti of God. So this is talking about lower prakritis, all the avak shakha. And then why it is called the Ashwatha tree, so there is a deeper meaning. But another word is Sanatan, we were talking about. What he's talking about, this tree has been there forever. Why did they say that? Because जब हम लोग इस दुनिया में आए, तो संसार तो पहले से ही था. वो कोई पूछेगा कब से है, ओ हमेशा से था. Don't we say that? We don't know. And these people talk about God knows the universe का age क्या है वगैरह वगैरह, 10 billion years. I don't even know. I forgot now. I see all those shows, but I told you big numbers, they go over my head. And even the earth ka, they will say billions of years, 4 billion, and we are right now in 2 billion, God knows, something like that. In other words, as far as we are concerned, it is there forever. हम लोग के मरने के बाद भी वो रहेगा संसार. From that perspective, you can say it is forever. और ये कब से शुरू हुआ कोई नहीं जानता, हमेशा से था. And even from the Vedantic perspective, they say the ignorance, when did it start? They say it's beginningless, they call it, right? And the Maya is part of Brahman only. So जब तक Brahman है, तब तक Maya भी होगी. It's a power of Brahman. So if something is there, if there is a fire, then heat and light will be there. That's why we call it beginningless. So that's how you have to think of this word as Sanatana, not in the other meaning Sanatana, which talking about Brahman. Where you're talking about Sansara as Sanatana, because it was there. And then Tejo Banerjee said, hey, Yamraji, what are you trying to say here? He brings this question because he wants us to go think deeper. So he was talking about that Shankaracharya ji is the one who brought out a lot of commentary, and then Tejamayanaji was discussing a few of it. He's saying, I can't bring the whole thing, but something. So here they say, Esha word use kiya hai. This tree. So this is because it is perceived by our senses. Brahman is not perceived by our senses, but the world we can see by our senses. So that's why Krishna Bhagwan is saying, Krishna Bhagwan is saying, or Yamraji is saying, Krishna Bhagwan 15th chapter on Yamraji over here, this tree, because it is, made up of these 5 elements and all that, which are perceivable. So in the outside world, the 5 elements, moon, stars, planets, everything, or whatever we see, forest and this and that, wo ek tarah ka world hua, right? He's saying there is another aspect to this lokaha that he's talking about. He's saying that every individual very efficiently has created its own sansar. अभी यहाँ पर 25 लोग हैं हम लोग, हर एक का संसार अलग अलग है कि नहीं? Like हमारी फैमिली का संसार बोलो या मेरे मन का संसार, whatever we have is an individualized संसार also. उसको भी लोका ही बोलते हैं. So and then Tejamayanaji was a little bit funny. He said, yeah, we have very efficiently created a world for ourselves, world of sorrow. Because we know most of the time, like, we are just sitting and brooding about our life, So he's saying that this is our private sansar. So what is the basis of this our private sansar? He was saying mainly it is, this body is me. That's what I think, and I made myself miserable by thinking like that constantly. And then also this whole thing about ego or something, this is mine, me and mine, you and yours. All that attachment and, dividing and differences and all that. That's what is my own sansar, which I made it for myself, this sansar of sorrow. And so, and also another aspect of my sansar is that I want to do everything to enjoy this result. The attachment to the result. I want to do this, I want to do that so that I'm going to be happy. So that's my sansar. So, but what is the truth? That if I do all those things, that, hey, I'm this body, I believe in it, and tera mera I do, and, or I want to enjoy the results of all these actions, then what will happen? I'll suffer only. Because this is my world. And he's saying that, so each one creates a peculiar kind of sansar for themselves. But the broad thing is that a lot of suffering and all that. And then he's saying that we don't need to go on describing to other people. He was actually joking. He said that mostly people will say, you don't understand how I feel. You don't understand what I'm going through and all that. And Tejamayanaji was laughing. He said, I don't even want to understand. He said, no, I have to tell you. Because people, friends and all pick up the phone and he's saying that you already said you're not going to understand. Why are you telling them? He was just saying, अपना दुख जो है ना दूसरे बांट नहीं सकते, because we have to get over our own ignorance. I think that's what he was trying to bring us. But we know what happens in the world. So he was bringing all these points. So he's saying that this sansar is, but it is a metaphorical language in this verse. Okay, so what is a metaphorical language? Firstly, he talked about the Sanatana, and then there's little more meaning to that Sanatana. Remember, Sanatana is like forever. That's one meaning. Why did it say so? Because we have also learned, we talked about reincarnation. Jiva this is not our only life. We have been there, God knows how many lives. We are here now. It will be many lives. So from that perspective, you can call it. It goes on and all that. Okay. But the other thing over there, very important one, that is tree ko bola gaya hai Ashwatha tree. So what is Ashwatha? Ek to meaning hai ki, which I said fig tree or a peepal tree. But why did they choose that? Because it's the biggest one. It is the strongest one. It lasts the longest. That's why. That's one meaning. And then there is a etymological meaning of it. That's what. And here in our commentary, you will see the footnote he's going to talk about. This word is made up of 3 different words. A, shwa, and tha. So, tha means that which remains. Shwa means tomorrow, and means not remain tomorrow. So what does a not remain tomorrow? What are they talking about? Talking about constantly changing. It never stays the same tomorrow. We may be thinking world is so steady and all that. There is a continuously changes happening. Even and the earth is moving very fast, 1,000 miles an hour, but we don't feel it, but it is moving. So it's constantly, even jagah pe bhi same nahi rehti hai. Constantly moving. Galaxies are moving, solar system is moving, and then we know that all the changes happen in the world, in our body, in our mind, outside, inside. Everything is constantly in a flux. That's why it's called Ashwatha, but the one that doesn't remain the same tomorrow. So that's the meaning of Ashwatha over here. So it's saying that Teja Mahananji said, man, this is really frightening. Sanatana stays forever, doesn't constantly changing. How are we going to deal with it, He's saying, don't worry. Immediately he said, isko tree kisliye kyun bola hai? Because it can be cut down. Okay? And then the word is used in Sanskrit as vriksha. So vriksha word is the word which is come from vrishan or something like that. I'm not a Sanskrit expert, so I don't know. But it seems like the word vriksha comes from something that can be cut down. Why did they say? Because they say उसमें भी बहुत psychology छुपी हुई है. अगर कोई ट्री को काटना हो ना तो उसको सिर्फ काटा जा सकता है, उखाड़ा नहीं जा सकता. Try to pull it out from the root, you won't be able to do it, right? So you take whatever saw and you can cut it. So that's why they use this sansar, that even though it looks very strong and forever and this and that and all that, it can be cut down. So don't worry about it. And what he means by cut down, we will see. And then how can we be cut down? By Vivek and Vairagya. So now the whole Vedanta is coming in here, and with, Guru and the Upadesh and all that we get, it can be cut down. And it is a metaphorical language. So what do they mean by it? That this tree, which is, it's Urdhva. So above meaning what? Paramatma is the main thing. The consciousness is the nourisher of this. Without that, we are nothing. And we, so far, whoever has been there in this Kathoupanishad class, we have studied in detail, the gradation. We have studied, right? That, hey, what are these? Firstly, objects are there, then the senses, and then the mind is above it, and then the intellect, and then we talked about total intellect, total mind, and then we said there was a Param Purusha beyond that. Uske through sab aata hai. So now you go reverse that, hey, this Paramatma is the origin, which is Sat Swarup, Chaitanya. जो बोला ना urdhva moola means origin. Just like root is the mool of a tree, iska origin Paramatma hai. So that's where it's coming from, this whole thing. So everything comes after that Paramatma only. That's why it's called Avak Shakha. Means everything else is as though branches. So you can call it total mind, ego, Panch Mahabhut, 5 elements, senses, jiva, all that comes under Avak Shakha. That it is a branches of that Brahman, and that is above. So that's where it's coming from. And then obviously I already mentioned that in Bhagavad Gita they have done a more elaboration, because it defines that what are the beliefs of it and this and that. There are lot more. And it seems that Shankaracharya ji ne aur bhi jada, the next level was Bhagavatam. He said Bhagavatam ne aur bhi jada detail mein bataya. It's the same concept is there in Bhagavatam about the tree as a sansar, and they have gone in more detail, and the most detail is done by Shankaracharya ji in his commentary. Whoever has time and inclination, they can read this particular verse and Shankaracharya ji's commentary, and you will get all the details of it. So he's saying that this is what, so there are two different worlds he talked about, right? The outside world and the inner world. He's saying both, thankfully, the origin is Bhagwan only. So that's why don't get dejected. It can be cut down, because if it's become too overwhelming, this sansar. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Bhagwan ne bola hai ki this can be cut down by the sword of non-attachment. Asanga shastrena, Dridena Chitva, he said it in the chapter 15. Because he's talking to Arjun, who understands the language of a soldier. तो उन्होंने बोला तू वो ना नॉन अटैचमेंट की तलवार उठा के काट डाल इसको, ऐसा बोला उसको. बट थ्रू दैट वी ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो नॉन अटैचमेंट इज वैराग्य. So Vivek Janya Vairagya, we talked about it now, by inquiry. Hey, what is this world? Who is this? And so he's saying with that inquiry, we realize what Paramatma is. And once we know the Paramatma from his essence, that's when you don't, sansar will look like a dream. No, sansar means it's not, I'm still in here, but I don't give so much importance to it, like I do right now. Like relative reality, jaisko bola na. So with that weapon of non-attachment, I can cut it. Actually, what it means is that I will not pay that much reality to it or that much attention to it. So that's the whole idea over here. Because Tejomayanji was reminding us that this sansar becomes sorrowful because of our ignorance only. There's nothing more to it. Because of our ignorance, we don't have the comprehension of the true nature of Bhagwan. That's why this happened. And then he was reminding us that earlier verses, the section before, he had said, no, that the one who realizes this Paramatma in their own heart, that person gets permanent happiness and peace. So, Tesham Sukham Shashvatam. Remember that all those verses that he's reminding us. Usko hi sukh aur shanti milti hai. Sukh shanti. Those two words. Okay, so and then in this verse it also mentioned that particular Brahman is firstly it's called Brahman, and it is Shukram, it's pure, and it is Amrutam, means it's immortal. Uska source wo Brahman hai, which is Shukram and immortal. And then he also trying to explain a little bit that in this world everything we understand is with the time, space and object. So Sanskrit में बोलते हैं देश काल वस्तु. And to make this concept clear, इस कि समझो आश्रम में कोई आया नया, तो सबसे पहले पूछते हैं भाई तुम कौन हो, वो बताएगा मेरा नाम ये है. तुम कहाँ से आए हो, so देश हो गया कि नहीं, कौन सी जगह से आए हो, so it's a place. And then he's saying कितने दिन रहोगे, time. Kab aaye, all that is connected with time. So it is in the world, we understand everything only by these three things. Otherwise, we cannot understand this world. Okay? But there is something which is beyond these three worlds, from where everything is coming. That's when he talks about this urdhva moola, means nourishment is coming from above. It means beyond the three periods of time. So that's what we have to remember. And then he original question, he because we cannot forget whatever we have learned earlier. No? We have to remember that. What did Nachiketa ask? Then he made that question very serious to Yamraj. He said, please tell me that factor which is beyond dharma, adharma, beyond cause and effect, and beyond three periods of time. And now here they are talking about that the sansar ka jo urdhva moola, it is beyond, is that Brahman, from where you get the nourishment for this. So that the whole thing is fitting now, So, okay, what some other points? Okay, the word Sanatana. Remember I was telling you that there are two different meanings of it. So when we talk about Sanatan for the Brahman, that means it is beyond the three periods of time. That's what we mean. He is like untouched by time. Mahakal jisko bolte hain. The time has come from him. So he is beyond time. And then, but when we are talking about this tree, all it's saying is that as far as we are concerned, it has been there forever. So the context is slightly different, the meaning of Sanatana over here versus when we talk about Brahman. And then the last thing over here is Tasmin Loka Shrita Sarve, means the entire sansar rest in it. That's what it means. So physical world as well as our mental world and our sansar that I was talking about, everything rests in this Brahman only, and you cannot go beyond this. And this language has been used before also. Nothing can go transcend this, in other words. So how do we understand this concept? He's saying it's like a gold and the ornament. The ornament is saying, I don't want gold in me. I want to get the gold out. Hey, the ornament won't remain then. Or a pot and a mud pot, suppose. Huh? And a mud pot is saying, I don't want mud. I don't like mud. Hey, you are made up of it. If you're not going to have mud, your existence will go away. That's what it means that you cannot go beyond it. And this is, we already did this, right? That it is Amritam and it's Shukram and all. Yeah. And he's saying that this particular factor that he's talking about, Chaitanya Swarup Atma, that indeed is that Aitad Vaitad. That's what he's talking about. So the realized soul are the one who can say, and that this thing has come, tad aitad iti manyate. They believe in this, and they believe that this is in their heart. And Nachiketa had asked one more question. He's saying, he had asked Yamraj, please tell me the way you see it. Right? So Tejo Menanji was describing that when we see something ourselves, meaning it is my own vision of it. So he's saying that I can borrow somebody's glasses, but I cannot borrow somebody's eyes, to see something clearly. Because that eyes is his own. But koi bolega, oh no, somebody can transplant the eyes. आजकल होता है ना, तो चलो ट्रांसप्लांट भी कर दिया है, पर उसका जो विजन है वो तुम नहीं ले सकते, है कि नहीं? लाइक एक साइंटिस्ट का विजन होता है, एक आर्टिस्ट का विजन होता है, पोएट का विजन होता है. उसकी आंखें भी तुम बोरो कर लो ट्रांसप्लांट करके, यू कैन नॉट टेक, बिकॉज व्हाट यू सी इज अ पर्सनल जर्नी. So that's what he's talking about. That's why they always talk about this in your own heart, in your own hriday. This you have to see this. And now one more thing he brought out, because he reviewed everything, which was very good. When we need to review in our class also, that the next verse is going to be something more interesting, because at one time in the previous verses, they had mentioned that, all our physiological function that are happening, pran, apan, and the oxygen that we take in and all that, just by oxygen, a person cannot be alive. Do you remember that we did all those verses? Because somebody is like has in coma or something, and you keep giving them oxygen, and in the end, that person passes away, because just by oxygen, he's not going to be alive. You need some bigger factor, and that is what that Brahman is, shining in. So that pranapan say it is inert thing, in other words, right? So now this was a personal thing they were talking about individually, that it gets kind of power from the Brahman to be alive. Now the question is, somebody is asking, not somebody can have this question in their mind, that okay, great, you're talking about this Paramatma, which is beyond. My five senses cannot catch it. Hey, I have a doubt कि है भी कि नहीं. और तेजो मेनन जी ने बोला, ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं जो बोलते हैं है भी कि नहीं, और अगर समझो है तो मैं जानूं कैसे, और समझो मैंने जान भी लिया तो भी क्या, उसका क्या फायदा. So ऐसे नमूने भी होंगे, बोलेंगे there's no use even if you know. Okay, forget about all that. But at least the person who is saying, hey, you are saying it's beyond, everything. How can I know this? Can you please give me some sign? कि भाई कुछ है भी कि नहीं? And then Yamraj is going to give him a sign. That sign will tell us that yes, there is something beyond this world. That's going to be the next verse. So this was pretty heavy duty verse, as you can see. It took me so long to explain. So I think the reading we will do next time, Swamiji's commentary. But any question on it? I tried my best to explain. It was difficult. Any comment? Okay, so I feel like when...
You are right, Umati. It's very very deep subject. I'm still comprehending the things you have said.
I think that to put it very simply, because for the modern people, the best thing is ki they are bringing this whole sansar, internal sansar as well as outside, in a form of a tree whose nourishment is above, which is Brahman. But
It's power from the Brahman.
Yeah, power from the Brahman, powered by it. Petrol is Brahman of the car. Okay, you can say. And we get bogged down by this sansar, that experience everybody has, right? Every day we get bogged down.
You can cut it down too.
You can cut it down with the sword of non-attachment. I'm bringing Bhagavad Gita and this together to simplify it. That's what he's trying to say. And in the next verse, for the people who doubt कि भाई ये beyond बोला है कि है क्या ये beyond, उसका कोई sign भी है क्या, so he's going to bring us to that. I hope that simplifies it, what this verse is all about.
Yeah, no, it does though.
So I think Upanishad is a more subtle language. That's why we need the commentary of Chinmayanandji, Tejomayanandji. You got to reflect on it, read it many times. Then a little bit, if you just read like that, after a while, okay, it's upside down tree, so what? What is he saying? So that's why we need to, contemplate. Anybody else has any comment or question? Shireen?
So can we say that everything is coming from Brahman? The good, the bad. The bad is actually in our mind.
Exactly.
Bad, so we are come here just to purify the mind. But
Correct.
We are getting everything, the birth and death and everything we are getting. And we are also given chances to satisfy, do away with the karma. And environment is, if we are born according to our karma in an environment where we can improve ourselves. So all these things are given, and anything and everything that happens in life is all predestined, I would say. Most of it. Some of it maybe you're doing, depending on your mind.
See, when we talk about predestiny, the biggest danger is then you can have a fatalistic kind of approach and say, oh my God, predestined, what is my role in it? So we have to be careful. When you say what we get is predestined. What we do with what we get, that we have freedom God has given.
We have to improve on.
Yes, there you go.
So we have to constantly try that.
Yeah.
Not that I know you cannot just say, just keep on doing whatever comes to your mind.
Blindly, yes. And then when they say that good or bad both comes, I want to put that in the right context so that we have a better understanding. It's like a gas in the car. The gas gives the power to the car. Now, whether I use the car to take myself to my destination or I get drunk and crash my car, that is up to me. See that I'm saying? So if somebody will say, oh, the bad is power is given by Brahman. The God gave you the power to do good stuff, but if you're doing bad stuff, that's your own doing.
Right.
Right.
So it's like Brahma with branches, but I would say Brahma with many hands.
Yeah, you can say, when they have this Virat Purusha. It's the whole thing is going to come in Bhagavad Gita also. When it's a Virat Purush, is like when they say that God has many hands and legs and all that. What does it mean? It's us only. We are hands and legs of God. In fact, our teacher used to say, जब God को कोई काम करवाना होता है ना, तो उनको खुद आने की जरूरत नहीं है. किसी एक अपने भक्त को बोल दे के जाके कर दे ये काम, So that's why sometimes suddenly somebody helps you on the street or in your life, and then they come nowhere. They come and help you.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. So we think, oh, some chance and all. No, there's no chance. God has sent somebody to help you. That's it. Because hands and legs are us only. हमसे ही वो काम करवाएगा. And even in Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjun very clearly that, निमित्त मात्र भवा. You just be my instrument. Because मेरे को कोई काम करवाना होगा तो मैं करवा ही दूंगा वो. तू नहीं करेगा तो मैं आके करूंगा, कोई किसी और को भेजूंगा. So don't be under an ego कि मैं इसको कैसे मारूं, ये करूं. इनके कर्मों ने इनको पहले ही मार दिया है. These guys have to be eliminated because their life is finished now. So you better do your job because it has come in your lap. Do it, otherwise I'll get somebody. So बोलते ना कि दुनिया में जो अपनी ड्यूटी नहीं करो ना, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि काम नहीं होगा. If God wants to do, जैसे कि किसी बच्चे के पेरेंट्स मर गए समझो, he get adopted and get some other beautiful family, will raise them. अगर उसके किस्मत में लिखा है कि भाई he has to have a good life, he will. Just because his parent died doesn't mean that he will going to have a bad life. Because so there are so many things, aspect to it, to contemplate upon it.
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah.
Majiva, one comment I want to make here is, Krishanji gave all his Sena to Kauravas to fight against the Pandavas. So that Sena, because Krishanji sent the Sena there, they were not committing any sin at all. They probably went to moksha.
Yeah, in fact, there is a whole thing about Mahabharata that it called it Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra, right? So it is Dharma Kshetra. Or somewhere I have read that Krishna भगवान ने बोला जो यहाँ पर अपनी ड्यूटी करेगा ना उसको मोक्ष मिलने वाला है यहाँ पे. So you are right. जो दूसरे सेना में भी लड़ रहे थे, if they did their duties because they were loyal to them, उनको भी मिला. And we know that Bhishma Pitama ने काफी गलतियां की थी, मगर he got the moksha at the end. Because in that role he had to do certain things, but his heart was still pure, and he was connected to the higher. In the end, there is a whole Vishnu Sahasranam. We do it in Chinmaya Mission. There are 1008 names of Vishnu, and it was done by Bhishma Pitama. So he was connected to the higher at the end. So Krishna Bhagwan ne jo promise kiya, if somebody remembers me, will get moksha. So it's not that simple, because what we see as good and bad, it is colored by our own mind, 100%.
Moreover, in Mahabharata, only 3 people in that king when he went there as a dud, only 3 people saw his real
glory.
Group, Bhishma Pitama and Guru Dronacharya and
Vidur. Yeah.
So in the entire presence over there, only 3 people saw him.
Right, that's why जिसकी जैसी भावना होती है वैसे भगवान दिखाई देते हैं उसको.
But they were all connected. That's why they were able to
Right.
see.
Yeah. So there are a lot of different things. So true that when it comes to who gets moksha and all that, it's only Bhagwan can decide that. We are not capable. We can only keep trying, and that we have studied those verses where he said, you bring yourself to that point. After that, it's the infinite who's going to decide when your time is. We cannot. It's like I'm giving an examination, and the examiner will decide what grade I get. I'm not capable of doing that. So we will read the commentary, and once we read Swamiji's commentary, I'm sure more things will get clear. But everybody can think about this. And if you have time, if you have Geeta at home, you can read the first 3 verses of chapter 15. It will clarify with some commentary and all. A few pages you can read and it will clarify this more.
Did you say chapter 15?
Yes, chapter 15. And you will see the similarity. Okay, so I'm going to close the class here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.